The Registered Electrical Apprenticeship Preparation 2021, the REAP program for Amtech. It's a 2-week pre-apprenticeship program, and it could lead into a full-time employment career opportunity as a licensed electrician. Earning potentials has no limits. We're Amtech. We are a large contractor, and we work all over the United States. Here's something that the Building Institute put together to kind of showcase the different possible careers that you might be thinking of. Not all are included, but some of the most popular ones are there. And the thing about the electrician career path, it's in yellow. It shows Amtech's logo there. And if you look across there, the cost of education, we've got Apprentice listed there. And we got, during the school, you're making money. Apprenticeship is different than the college-bound ideal. You actually get paid to go to work in apprenticeship. And the whole idea about this, we'll get into it a little bit later, is to be a career electrician. Some familiar faces from the local area. We've got Tylen Barnhill, and he's from Milan High School. He participated last year, and come March 2021, he will be making $14.58 per hour. He's a REAP completer and on his path to become a licensed electrician through the apprenticeship program. Here's Jacob Gill. He's from Dyersburg High School. He's on the same path, again, $14.58 per hour. Adam Williams from Dyer County, $14.58 per hour. All these people completed the 2020 edition of the REAP program. Here's Wesley Cromer, and he's going to be at $17.23 an hour. He's from Peabody. He completed the 2019 REAP program and is on his way as a second-year apprentice with decent money, on his way to become a licensed electrician. One thing I want to let everybody know is that what the media or what the advertisements are about what an electrician truly is a lot of times misunderstood and misrepresented. These guys here that's on this picture, they're doing electrical type of work. They're using smart devices, they're using computers, or communicating with machinery, and that's a maintenance technician career path. Nothing wrong with the maintenance technician career path, and that's a good path to go. There's a lot of need for that, but that is not the electrician career path. That's a maintenance technician. A lot of times the advertisements show that and say that's an electrician. It's not. It's a maintenance technician career path. We've got these guys that out in the bad weather, keeping the lights on, putting the lines back up that fall down. Those guys are working with electrical stuff. They're linemen, and that's a good career path, but that's not the electrician career path. A lot of people call them electricians. They're working with electrical, but they are, quote unquote, linemen. They make good money. They work hard. Got guys that might come out to your business or your home and work on your heating and air conditioning systems. Another good career path. You see these guys are working with electrical stuff. Again, not electrician, they're HVAC technicians. A good career path, not electrician. Got the guys that might be working on wiring systems in cars, putting in big stereo systems, or working on the electronics in the cars. Again, that's an auto mechanic, not an electrician. They're playing with electrical stuff, understood, but that's not an electrician career path. Got the guys that might come out to your place of business or your home and work on your appliances, fix your refrigerator, your ice maker, your washer, your dryer. That's appliance repair people. That is not the electrician career path. People might come out to your house. They might take out a switch and put in a smart device, or change out a light fixture and put in a ceiling fan. And there's no training required in the state of Tennessee for these guys. They could just be your friend that you know that might know a little bit, or might even read the instructions that come with the devices and pieces that they're installing. Anybody can do it. There's no training required for that. In fact, there's books for that. There's YouTube videos for that. There's no training required for that. In the state law in Tennessee, it actually says that you do not, if you're working on your own resident, you don't have to have any training. You don't have to have a license. You can do it. There's no training required for that. Now, what does Amtech do? We are the construction electricians. We dig huge cavities in the earth. We install raceway systems called conduits underground, under the buildings. You see these guys, they're out there in the dirt, they're out there in the cold, they're out there in the mud, they're out in the rain, the snow, they're out there doing the work. This is construction. And when I say we put in conduits underground before the building gets built, I am not kidding. We put in a lot of conduits underground. Most of the work that we do, nobody ever sees because it's covered up behind the walls, under the floors, in the ceilings. Nobody sees it, but it's required. Okay, once the conduit is installed, then we start pulling wire through those conduits. That's how the power gets put into the building. And when I say we pull wire through those conduits, I'm not kidding. We pull in lots and lots and big wire, miles of it. This is how the power gets on. That's how everything gets, operational inside buildings. Now, once the building starts to be built, the walls start going up. We're inside the building, and we're putting in other raceway systems. These are called conduits, EMT, and this brings the power out to all the different locations throughout the building. During construction, the walls don't have coverings on them, so inside those walls, there's plenty of raceways, cables, conduits, boxes that we install, as well as other trades. This happens before the walls get covered up by the wall coverings, whatever they may be. Most of the time it's drywall, and this is what we do. Now, once the building gets a little bit further along, we're actually installing those lights and switches, receptacles. We're always on lifts and we're always on ladders because where's the electrical stuff? It's in the ceiling, okay? Now, once the building gets further and further along, we're starting to do some of the process, putting in machinery, feeds to those machines, a little bit more high-end type of work. Now, those first guys I talked about, those maintenance technicians, when the real work happens, when they're actually doing what's called preventive maintenance or adding new circuits, they call us because we do the installs, we do the new work, and the maintenance technicians maintain the existing. We also do the scary work because we're more trained in that atmosphere than those maintenance technicians ever thought. The guy on the left here is in a arc flash suit in case it explodes upon him. Now that's a highly trained person doing that, and that would be the licensed electrician, journeyman level, master level person, okay? There's misunderstandings across the board about what electricians do and how this works. Somebody needing something done, somebody needing something fixed or added, they want to call an electrician, do some work. But across the United States, legally, only licensed electrical contractors are allowed to do that work. But there's plenty of illegal activities in our trade, okay? Now, the way it would work, if somebody needing something done would make a phone call, or in today's world, just get on a smart device and maybe text something or email something, and contact a contractor. The contractor would then send out a qualified individual to do the work. Most of the time in other states, that's a licensed electrician, okay? Now, the REAP program that we're talking about, if you are a participant in that, if you are selected, you get free tools and recommendation for employment after completion. This is a pre-apprenticeship ideal. There's no guarantee of a job. Don't ever let anybody tell you they're going to guarantee you a job because you may be a bad employee. But if you're in the apprenticeship or the pre-apprenticeship program, being the REAP program, you're going to get free stuff. Check this out. This set of tools is what you're going to be looking at. That's going to be handed out to you day 1 or 2 of the REAP program, and that's about a $300 value. feel free to look up the Milwaukee brand. I mean, that's not cheap tools. Here's some pictures from the REAP program that just happened last year, 2020, July. You see our guys, they're out there, they're bending some conduit with a bender. They're in classroom atmospheres. They're learning safety orientation at this picture. They're out in the shop area and they're learning how to wire up different things. This guy, you can see he's got some switches installed. He's got a light that's actually working. This guy's got 2 lights working and many switches added in this process. As I talked about free stuff, the American Job Centers of Tennessee, if you're selected, will also provide you with work attire, boots, working clothes. This is great. Okay. They're continuing on wiring up more involved systems here. This is a picture of them donning the full body harness, because anytime we're above 6 feet off the ground or off the elevation, we have to be full body harnessed. And they're going to get up, and hopefully you're not afraid of heights, because like I said, we're going to be in the air. That's where the electrical systems are. This guy's up there. There's where the conduits are, the boxes are. He's checking that out. It's part of the program. It's part of the reality of the electrician career path. Now these guys are bending conduit. So that's a skill that takes a lot of time to actually be good at, to take a straight piece of pipe and bend it and form it to fit in the areas that you want to. A lot of math involved with that. We will train you how to do that. These guys are finishing up the REAP program. This is the last task. This is actually wiring up inside the walls a typical electrical installation for a typical room. They've got conduit to install, they've got cables to install, they got boxes to install. Once they've completed the program, there are going to be certificates that's going to be awarded, as well as a transcript and a letter of recommendation. Okay, nice certificates that we provide. You see our completers of the 2020. We got 2 instructors and actually other help. We got other electricians that help throughout the process. We got 2 full-time instructors during the 2-week program. This is our 2019 completers. Had a little bit more involvement in the 2019. Here's our 2018 completers. We've been doing this a few years, all linked up with the career centers. Now, one thing that I want everybody listening to understand is we work all over the United States. We're in the construction field. Most of our work is not near your house, okay? So pack your bags, take your toothbrush, and hit the road. And work and work and work and make plenty of money doing that, okay? Now, the other process that I'll kind of highlight here is college is not for the electrician career path. It's for many of the other career paths, but not the electrician career path. You know, the ideal that you go to college, gain good education, complete that education, that's great, okay? But at the end of that, you're going to hope somebody's going to pay you for the education you've received, okay? It's called train and pray. And a lot of times people that I've met over the years have got a high-level education and a low-level job. So debt and a lot of debt. So this ideal for the electrician career path, I kind of poke a little fun at it because it's paying for school to get a job, just to get a job to pay for school. And I know a lot of people in that ideal. Okay. Now, another thing that you'll hear is accredited training and certified training. Those 2 terms, as you guys are, you know, coming of age, you need to think about those. If you see the words accredited or certified, ask a question. It's very simple. Just ask a question. By who? Who accredited it? Who certified it? It's kind of important to know. But more importantly than that, who recognizes it? You know, this is based out of Tennessee, and I know that TCAT is a very famous, everybody has heard of TCAT. We're a nationwide company. When I'm in a different state and I say TCAT, people look at me with a blank stare and say, what is TCAT? Is that some type of animal? You got to understand that TCAT is very famous where you're at, but unknown elsewhere, okay? So certified or accredited. If it's not recognized by your future employer, it's not approved. And I've seen a lot of people bring me a document from a quality educational source and say, hey, where does this put me? I said, at the beginning, just like everybody else. And that's the reason I say, the college ideal is not for the electrician career path. Okay. When we talk about accredited or certified, we leave out one other term, registered. Apprenticeships are registered, not certified or accredited, even though you could consider the word accredited, but it's actually registered with the United States Department of Labor. All employers know them by name. They have to. The U.S. Department of Labor is the ones who mandate a lot of things about employer-employee relationships, Fair Labor Acts, all kinds of things, the minimum wage at the federal level, all that. All employers know them by name. So registered apprenticeships are very highly regarded. They have to be. It's a federal mandate. Registered is recognized by who? It's recognized by every employer across the United States. It has to be. That's a federal law. Also, Canada and Australia. So if you decided you want to go to Canada and you've got a registered apprenticeship going on or completion, they're going to recognize it in Canada or in Australia. My advice to you is this. Find the job that you want. It may not be the electrician, that's fine. Those of you guys that are listening to this and seeing that, that's great. You may have a different career path. This advice is sound for whatever career path you are thinking of. Find the job that you want. Then ask the employer what credentials are required to achieve that job. Don't go out and acquire a credential and then try to make it apply to an employer. That does not work. Okay. Now, who pays for the training of a registered apprenticeship program? In most cases, that's the employer, not you, not the individual. Okay. That is the case for Amtech's apprenticeship. Amtech absorbs all the costs to train you to be a licensed electrician. Okay. When we have some help with the government programs, as we're talking about with the REAP program and association with the career places there that help us out. Okay. Here's a picture that is a corporate picture, and it shows two managers arguing with each other, or at least debating with each other. And it says, one of the managers says, well, if we train them and they leave, speaking of our employees. And the other manager says, what if we don't, meaning train them, and they stay? For the electrician career path, if we don't have well-trained individuals, we are not going to be very successful. So our employees have to be well-trained. Now, if they get that training and then they leave, and it happens, oh well. But we can't have untrained people working in the electrical industry. That is a scary, dangerous ideal. Okay. Again, we're not going to guarantee you a job through this process. But let's talk about Amtech. We're always hiring. We are. But what are we hiring? We're hiring licensed electricians. We got advertisements across the United States looking for experienced, licensed people. That means these people are, if they've got 5 or more years of working experience and they have a license, well, we're going to hire them if they're willing to come for what we're offering. Now, let's think about you. You're not that person that has that experience. You don't have the experience. You don't have the knowledge. You don't have a license. Open positions for most good career paths with good pay require experience first and training, right? Look at any good advertisement for opportunities in any career path. Most of them say at least 2 years of experience and maybe some credential with that. no matter what it is, if it's a good paying career path. This is where the REAP program helps you, okay? The REAP program provides training and experience prior to employment opportunities. So now if you complete the REAP program, Amtech might be interested in hiring you. If you don't do something that gives you experience and knowledge and training, we're not going to be interested in you, okay? Assuming that you are successful in completing this opportunity and gain a job opportunity with Amtech, the next step is to become a registered apprentice, okay? What's apprenticeship mean? It means you go to work, okay? You're working, and you must be employed. And then while you're working, you're being trained by journeyman level people, master level people to become a master of the skills that you're working at. There's a lot of misinformation across this nation that has this misunderstanding. The masses have got it confused with some type of school after high school. Well, that's college, right? And apprenticeship could be construed as some type of ideal like college, but it's not. You go to work and then be trained, not go to college and then hope for a job, okay? You work, you be trained to become a master. You don't lose money. You don't get a student loan. You don't go in debt. You get paid, okay? Okay. Apprenticeship's been around a long time. It was developed in the Middle Ages. And this is where young people would come and beg craftsmen, masters of a craft, to be trained, okay? And young people would come and they would work with and live with the masters, and for exchange of, doing the laundry, helping out, they'd be trained, okay? Most apprentices aspired to be a master craftsman themselves after completion of their apprenticeship, usually a term of 7 years. This was back in the Middle Ages. Well, today, the same ideal happens for electricians. It takes about 7 years before someone can become a master electrician across the United States. Here's one of our completers that completed the apprenticeship program there in Tennessee, Dyersburg. He completed in 2018. He's now a master electrician. In 2020, he achieved this. That's the way it works. Okay. In most states, electrical work must be performed by or under supervision of a licensed electrician or a master electrician. Okay. That's the leading person. These guys feel like this guy. They're supervising and they're actually watching a lot of untrained people or people that's coming up into this career path, and they feel like they're babysitting. Okay. Now, to become the master electrician, which is the next tier of licensing, the top tier of licensing, well, that can be the supervisor. Now, supervisors make really good money. Okay. We've been doing the registered apprenticeship program since 2010 in Dyersburg, state of Tennessee. So we've been doing this a while. We've been doing it in our Lexington operation, which our corporate operation is even longer than that. Amtech's registered apprenticeship programs are administered from the Lexington, Kentucky. That's our corporate. You got to realize we got 14 offices and many satellite offices across the United States, but our corporate office is in Lexington, Kentucky. Okay. Our completers of apprenticeships become licensed electricians. Okay. In order to work unsupervised in most states, you must be licensed. So that's the ideal. Let's talk about money. This will get people who might have been fading away. Let's talk about money. As you can see, this was done. This is another study. This is real numbers. It was 2015 when this was assessed by Jade. The numbers haven't changed much in the last 6 years. And let's tune into the Tennessee area. We're looking at $46,710 for the median wage of electricians in the Tennessee area. Okay. Now let's talk about Amtech's apprenticeship pay scales. When you become an employee of Amtech in the registered apprenticeship program, which is the ideal right after the REAP program, you're going to be making $13.25 an hour. That's not a bad wage for a beginner, right? And every 6 months through the apprenticeship program, which is the dates of March and September, you know, that's the ideal, you're going to get a 5% increase as long as you've done what you're supposed to. Let's look at the math for that. Let's say you start this year and you start at $13.25 an hour and you work half of a year. Half of a year, 6 months, is 1,040 hours of time, work time. That'd be $13,780. Well, that's for half the year. Then the other half of the year, you get that 5% increase. Now you're at $14.58. So that's $15,000 and some change more. For the 12-month cycle, you're at $28,000, almost $29,000, right? You add a little bit of overtime, which this does not account for any overtime, you can be well over $30,000 easily for the first year of your employment. Go on with this apprenticeship program. Every 6 months, you get a pay raise as long as you do what you're supposed to. Now, the second year, you're at $15.90 an hour. The second part of that second year program, you're at $17.23 an hour. For that second year, you're $34,000 and some change. Add a little bit of overtime to that, you know, $38,000 is easy. Almost $40,000, very easy to get to with a little bit more overtime. Third year program, now you're at $18.55. Second part of that year, you're at $19.88. You see the numbers to the side there. For the third year, 3 years after high school, you're making $40,000. 3 years after high school, as long as you stick with it and do what you're supposed to. Ask your parents, your friends, your family members. $40,000 is a decent wage per year. Okay? Sticking with it. Fourth year program, now you're at $21.20 an hour. For the first half year of that, $22,000 some change. The second part of that year, $22.53, $23,000 some change. You're at 45, almost 40. Well, you put a little overtime to that, you can easily hit 50,000 at fourth year. And you're not even a licensed electrician at this point. Let's say you graduate the apprenticeship program 4 years out, you become a licensed electrician, which is the goal. You're making $23.85 per hour. At a full year of time, that's $49,608. Add a little bit of overtime to that, you're at 55, 56, 57. A little bit more overtime, you might be even $60,000. Okay? Licensed master's electrician. Now, this is the next tier after you become a licensed journeyman level. A couple years after that, 7-year plan. Maybe you become a licensed master. If you take on responsibility to become a leader, supervisor, project manager, or more, there is no ceiling of pay in this program, this career path. There's no ceiling of pay. 6 figures is a real possibility. Most of our supervisors. When we do these in person, we have questions, and I've got some commonly asked questions that I've got prepared answers for. Okay, I told you we work out of town. We do not work near your house. So let's talk about that out of town deal. When you travel, you get travel per diem. Now, per diem is money that's going to be put in on your paycheck extra to your working hours. Now, let's talk about travel. When you work more than 90 miles away, okay? So if you're working with 88 miles, this per diem package is not part of this ideal. But 90 plus miles, 90 or 90 plus miles, most of our job sites will provide you with a per diem package. Now, what this per diem package would be at minimum is $75 per day. So every day that you're working, you're going to get $75, okay? Now, that packages are adjusted for location if required. Just to give you an example, you know, in California, the cost of living is outrageous. If we got you in California, we're going to adjust this number up to accommodate for the actual cost of living out there. But $75 per day is what we're saying. The per diem is expected to be used for you to pay half the cost of a hotel room and for food. So you need to buddy up with somebody, and we will assist that through our job site foreman to help you buddy up with somebody. Okay. Here's an example. working 7 days a week, which is what we do when we're out of town, you're out of town for 7 days a week, that's going to be $75 a day, $525 weekly. This is addition to your wage to be paid. If the room, in this example, costs $90 per night, half the cost of that room would be $45, leaving $30 to eat on. So think about that. If you go to McDonald's, you can get some cheap food. If you go to Walmart and buy some food and have it at the room and make your, sandwiches and stuff like that, you can come out really good at $30 a day to eat on times 7 days. So that's what most people do. They'll bank extra money with the per diem by eating cheaply. So that's the ideal for per diem. Another question we get is, what about how long do you have to be away? Okay, we're not going to take you away from your home and just keep you out there. We do have a 3-week plus or minus, depends on the job, ideal. If you live in Tennessee and we've got you stationed, 500 miles away, it's hard to come home every weekend, right? So keep you out there for 3 weeks. If the job site's far away, you will work for 3 weeks and then be given the opportunity to go home for a few days. Well, most of our employees that don't have things that they have to do at home, they decide to stay and make more money instead of going home for the few days. Your cost to go home and get back is not paid for. So that's another determining factor. You may want to stay and just make more money. I've seen guys go out on the road who don't have any family ties or requirements, and they'll stay gone 3 or 4 months at a time and just keep on banking a lot of money. Okay. Another question that we get is, what about the drive time? How do you get to the job? And what the pay is for that. Drive time is this, is hours of travel is paid time. So if it takes 500 miles to go, might take you a little time to get there. So the hours it takes you to get there will be paid, okay? That's when you're working more than 90 miles away. The time it takes you to get to the job will be paid. The first trip to the job site and your last trip from the job. That's a little bit different than that going home every 3 weeks, right? We're not paying you to go home and back, but we'll pay you to get there, and we'll pay you the last time that your assignment ends on that job to get back home. Now, let's talk about you driving your own vehicle. Okay, mileage, you get mileage as well. Okay, mileage to the job. So when you're working more than 90 miles away and you're staying overnight, mileage will be paid if you drive your own vehicle at 40 cents per mile to the job site. So the example I'm showing here, if you got 300 miles to get there, at 40 cents a mile, it's $120. So that's wear and tear on your vehicle as well as gas money. If you can't make 300 miles at $120 with gas, you need to get a different vehicle. So that's kind of the way it is for the travel. We're going to make sure that you're not out of pocket to travel for Amtech. Okay. Again, we're not guaranteeing jobs, so don't assume that, but we do want to encourage you guys to participate in the apprenticeship, the REAP program, because once you've completed that REAP program, the reality is the job opportunity is going to be there either immediately after that or in the near future, because you've got a credential to do that. Okay. Thank you for your participation.